Yes, thank you very, very much. Happy to hear it. It's loud and clear, guys. Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, part two. An amazing fight. Round number one was very exciting, and I gave that round to Conor McGregor. Not by much, but I felt that when he got back up to his feet after the first takedown, he landed some very nice strikes. One or two shots that gave it to him. It wasn't a landslide round one win, but it was definitely a win, in my opinion, for Conor McGregor. Round number one goes to Conor. In the first minute of the fight, Poirier scored a takedown within the first minute. Now, that's always good news. And he took him down, and Conor McGregor didn't seem to be any submission trouble, but he struggled a bit back to his feet. Did that wear down Conor's one punch, one shot, one KO, that kill shot, that touch of death, that left hand? Did that help wear out Conor McGregor? Well, they say if you're ever fighting a very explosive guy, they say if you're ever like, if you're ever facing a very powerful puncher, like for instance, if you guys saw BJ Penn versus George St. Pierre part two, the second fight. Now, prior to that, BJ Penn had knocked out Matt Hughes with one punch. He was known for a powerful puncher. The game plan in that fight was to clinch with BJ. The first two rounds, try to get him to clinch. Don't even try to take him down. Make him think you're trying to take him down. And just make him pummel. Why? Because BJ Penn had that one punch KO power. He was so quick, so powerful. He would hit you from underneath with an uppercut, or he'd go over the top with the right hand. He's knocked out Matt Hughes twice in the first round. In their first matchup, he knocked down Matt Hughes, but he knocked him down so well that, Matt Hughes was discombobulated, and then he choked him. But that punch did all the work for him. Okay, so BJ Penn had that powerful striking ability, and it seems that whenever you're facing a one-punch KO type guy, it's always wise to make them clinch. Like for instance, if you look at Randy Couture versus Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture is nowhere near the striking level of Chuck Liddell. And he clinched him up and he tied him up. Same thing with the Vitor Belfort fight. Randy Couture with the Vitor Belfort fight. In the rematch, he was clinching him, dirty boxing him, lots of clinching, and then you wear out that explosiveness. These explosive athletes, sometimes they seem to have a lot of trouble with the clinching. So round one, there was some clinching. Listen, it wasn't an entire round of clinching. I don't want to make it sound like it was nonstop clinching, but did that help Poirier soften up McGregor? I think partly yes. But the hero of the day was Dustin's leg kicks. After the clinch, Dustin started to kick the leg. He was kicking low at the calf. And you could see that even after the first kick, McGregor started wobbling a little bit. He seemed tender. Then there was a third kick. In the first round, he only had kicked McGregor, I would say, successfully 3 or 4 times. But the 3 or 4 times that he kicked him seemed to have an impact on every single kick. In my opinion, McGregor won round one, but he seemed to be hurt to the leg. He seemed to be a bit softened up from all the wrestling, just a little bit. Round two comes about. And now McGregor is pressuring Poirier. And he's landing some nice shots. He's pushing Poirier up against to the fence with his striking. Not physically, but just with the pressure of his strikes. Poirier's kind of moving back, circling. And Poirier seemed a little bit frantic. He scores a few more leg kicks and a few more. And all of a sudden, McGregor seems to be putting on the heat. It seems like McGregor is urgent to finish this fight. McGregor lands a beautiful left hand in round two. A beautiful one. Catches Poirier at the end of his shot. That's McGregor's best shot. His kill shot. I would say we're 3/4 into the second round. And McGregor lands that kill shot. But it didn't have any sting behind it. Poirier took it so well. It was just a very normal punch. It was nothing significant. It was definitely not a touch of death. Definitely. But why? He landed it right on the button. He landed it at the end. His arm was fully extended. Body weight shifted behind it. It was a successful left hand. A beautiful one. But why didn't Poirier drop? Well, here it is. I think Poirier rolled with it. By rolling with it, I mean he turned his chin with it. That's a boxer's technique. When you become very, very experienced, you learn that the more you resist a shot, the more you brace against it, the more it hurts. You got to kind of roll with it. So I think Poirier rolled with it. I think he was not as surprised. I think he knew about that left hand. So when he got hit with it, he had made his peace with it mentally. And we're going to talk about the mental game in a little bit. Because I think that was ultimately had to do with the downfall of McGregor in this fight. Poirier took that shot well. He took it he looked like a mature boxer taking a good shot. Now, on one hand, I feel like McGregor was softened up because of the leg kicks. He didn't have as much power in that left hand as usual. He was softened up from the exchanges early on. The leg kick exchanges, the wrestling. I don't think he was as fresh. But still, I still think that left hand, if it hit Poirier 5 years ago, it could have dropped him. Not this Poirier. This Poirier was more mature. He rolled with the shot. He just kind of turned his head with it. And he didn't panic at all. He stayed very cool and he stayed in the fight. Poirier does a nice little quarter turn. Gets McGregor up on the fence. McGregor kind of like overextended. He kind of charged Poirier. Poirier gave us some nice, beautiful footwork. Gets McGregor on the fence. And it was the beginning of the end. Poirier releases a flurry of punches. And finally catches McGregor with his... with Poirier, catches him with a right hook. Drops McGregor. On the way down, he starts giving McGregor some shots. The referee stops it. No argument on the stoppage. The stoppage was 100% warranted. Dustin Poirier, the underdog. And I remember when I did my pre-fight interview, I picked McGregor. I gave it 60-40. I said, I think McGregor is going to win, but I don't think it's as much of a landslide as everybody thinks it is. I still think Poirier has a chance if he takes it later in the later rounds. And I asked you guys, who do you guys going to think? I think it was 99. It was the most one-sided pre-fight analysis I've ever done. Everybody was telling me, Conor. I think there was one guy in the comment section after my show was put on live. They said, hey, I think Poirier, you guys are sleeping on Poirier. He's going to win. And lo and behold, that one guy was right because Poirier showed that he can beat Conor McGregor. And not only can he beat Conor McGregor, if there was a trilogy match, which I think there's going to be a trilogy match, as of now, right now, I would pick Dustin Poirier again. I think Dustin Poirier is made his peace with getting hit by McGregor, and he just took it so well that I think he outboxes McGregor in the rematch. As of now, okay, as they continue to develop and fight and change, things might change, of course. How about McGregor? I think in the second round, when McGregor was getting hit along the fence, I found it strange that he wasn't... It seemed that he already gave up on the fight. Before he hit the canvas, I felt that he had given up on the fight because things were getting tough. The fight was getting tough. His left hand didn't work, and he's not used to that. He's not used to hitting guys with a big left and them keep fighting. He's used to hitting guys with a big left and then dropping down to the floor. They drop to the floor, and they're frantic, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know how to deal with it. McGregor, in the second round, dropped his best card. He landed that perfect left hand, the one he's relied on his entire career. And for one reason or another, it didn't work. Poirier did not go down. And it seemed that McGregor got emotional about it. He started covering up. He was getting hit. He didn't look like he was trying to circle out and survive. He looked like a guy who was like, look, this is the end. I better do something right. He kind of threw a few punches, but they were like almost desperate. And he seemed to get very emotional. You look at his face. He was very, very emotional. Whereas you contrast that with Poirier. When Poirier got hit, he looked cool. He kind of shrugged it off. He kind of kept boxing. He was playing a game. He was cool, and he was looking for his next move. And that's what I tell you about Dustin Poirier. And I said that in my pre-fight analysis. The man has a heart of a lion. The guy is like a real Rocky Balboa. Like, the man has more heart. Like, I gave McGregor so many pluses. I told you guys, look, he's a better boxer. He's a better counterpuncher. He's got a slightly, he's got a longer reach. He's faced a Mayweather in boxing. He has so many advantages. But one thing I said, Poirier has the biggest heart. You can't deny that. If you watch his Hooker fight, watch his fight with Eddie Alvarez, watch both of them. The man has tremendous, tremendous heart and a will to win. And we saw the will to win overcome skill and technique, because McGregor has a beautiful skill and technique. He does have a beautiful punching mechanic. He has beautiful punching mechanics. His head movement was excellent. Even till the end, his head movement actually was beautiful. However, he did get caught with a good hook. And it caught him by surprise. I don't think he saw him coming, but the way he fell also tells me that he didn't see it coming. Okay, it has a lot to do with the way he fell. And in my opinion, he's not used to weathering storms. All the hard fights Poirier had, they all led him to this win today. Last weekend. All those hard fights, those blood and guts fights he's had, they've toughened him up mentally, because the barrage of punches he was taking, would have put a lesser seasoned fighter out. Like, for instance, if you look at McGregor, okay, the punches he took at the end of the fight, that would not have been enough to stop Poirier. If you disagree, please go watch the Hooker Poirier fight. Go watch that fight again, and you could see that what happened to McGregor at the end of the fight was happening all for 15 minutes between Poirier and Hooker. I mean, it was just a non-stop back and forth battle, wrestling, scrambling. It was just a crazy amount of output, and both fighters were putting it on. Like, it was a very heated battle. When McGregor gets into a heated battle, it seems like he folds. It seems like he'll fold faster than a Poirier by far. Okay, but he does have a mechanical and technical brilliance. McGregor has a beautiful punching style. Beautiful punching style. Now, here's my other thing. Strategically, I think McGregor fought very differently than in their first fight. In their first fight, he came out kicking. McGregor came out kicking. Kick, 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 kick. And those kicks set up a beautiful cross because those kicks were kind of confusing Poirier. We'll go watch that fight. It's a great fight. In the rematch, McGregor does a total opposite. He comes out boxing, actually kind of pocket boxing, pressuring Poirier with boxing and just kind of like saying, look, I'm going to knock you out. Let's have a boxing match here. And he did throw some kicks. McGregor did throw some, but he didn't lead with kicks like he did in their first fight. Now, was that the reason why he's lost? That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying his approach was very different, which made the fight even more interesting because it was much more, how do you say? It was going to be a much more aggressive fight by both of them because they're really getting close to one another and they're exchanging fire in that pocket zone, that pocket boxing, that trench fighting zone, that infighting zone. Okay, as much as you can have in MMA. Okay, guys, those are my comments on